Look what's going on with Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro.
Dude.
Like, what did she say? I want to know what she was fired for.
Welcome to Inverted World. I'm your host, Dylan Roth, and things are getting a bit crazier over at Daily Wire. To give you all a quick rundown of what's been happening, it all started in November of 2023 when Candace Owens tweeted this Bible verse: "You cannot serve both God and money." Ben responds saying, "Candace, if you feel that taking money from the Daily Wire somehow comes between you and God, by all means quit." Shapiro decided against dealing with their differences of opinion internally and instead called her out publicly.
The question is about Candace Owens. I think her behavior during this has been disgraceful.
Here's what Candace had to say about that.
I saw the video when everybody else saw it when I woke up.
No one warned you about it.
Nobody warned me about it. It looks like maybe he didn't know he was being recorded. It looks like it was some sort of a private event. I got no clarity on the issue that he was particularly speaking on. And in what was said, I can't respond to it beyond what he's saying because it's just ad hominem attacks. I don't know.
Yeah, because it's not, we disagree, or I don't think she's correct, or maybe she doesn't know what she's talking about. It's absolutely disgraceful.
Yeah, exactly. And so I can't respond to it on a level of intellect because there's nothing that he has expressed in that, at least in that short clip, that he fundamentally disagrees with in terms of what I said. But I will say that I'm not going to respond with the same ad hominem attacks. Yes. I don't think it helps further discussion. And if that was me that was caught on a video saying that about colleagues that I work with, I would be embarrassed. So I think that the video speaks more to Ben's character than it speaks to mine.
That was the quick and dirty overview. For more info, check out my previous video about Candace. So let's jump into it, shall we? This past week, Ben Shapiro, Andrew Klavan, and the CEO of the Daily Wire, Jeremy Boring, have been doing a lot of talking and non-talking about why Candace Owens is no longer at the Daily Wire.
One of the consequences of this war has been a lot of very high passions on both sides, a lot of angry disagreements. You and your company have been at the center of a very high profile one at the moment with Candace Owens, who's now left Daily Wire. Was she fired or did she leave of her own volition?
I'm not going to speak to this topic, Piers.
At all?
At all.
You can't give me any insight into why she departed?
No hints, no nothing. I'm not going to speak to this.
Can I ask why?
I mean, you can ask.
No, I'm not. Can I ask why you don't want to say anything?
Again, you can ask.
I'm only curious because I know what a staunch defender of free speech you are, and it would surprise me if it had been someone's opinions that would make you want to part company with them, however contentious.
I mean, suffice it to say, the only thing I will say is what I've said all along with regard to Candace or with regard to any of our other hosts. I am not in hiring and firing position with the Daily Wire. I'm a co-founder of the Daily Wire. I'm a co-owner of the Daily Wire. I'm not actually in management. Jeremy Boring and Caleb Robinson are in management positions with regard to Candace or anyone else. And as far as the free speech situation, what I will say is that no company has the obligation to literally pay anyone. The Daily Wire is a publisher. It is not a platform. I've never called for Candace or anyone else for that matter to be banned from YouTube, to be banned from X, to be banned from any platform. That's a different story, obviously, when it comes to any publisher. Any publisher gets to make decisions about what it wishes to purvey and not.
I mean, I'm just not going to labor this, but one more point I would make is it's been reported extensively that the reason for her departure was because her comments have been perceived by people at the Daily Wire as anti-Semitic.
Again, I'm not going to comment on this, Piers.
Okay, so he stayed a little bit tight-lipped there, but then he goes on Dave Rubin and gets himself into a little trouble with Candace. Ben, along with Jeremy Boring, confirms that Candace was indeed fired. People thought maybe her contract was up and she didn't renew. Nope, she was fired, and I'm guessing that there was some sort of agreement that shouldn't come out based on this Candace Owens tweet. Ben, we agreed not to talk about this, but you are very much going on a public tour right now pretending not to talk about it while you are very much talking about it. Would you like me to do the same? Here comes the mic drop moment. The glorious moment when a media controller gets humbled and they can no longer control the narrative. Not in this media landscape, not with the uncancelable Candace Owens. Candace also tweeted, Maybe me and Joe Rogan should get together and talk about it while pretending we're not talking about it. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Do not sweep things under the rug, especially in this media landscape. Especially in this day and age when people are more emboldened to stand up for the truth. And one should. The internet age is exposing more and more of what we already know about these organizations. And clearly, politics doesn't matter because, yes, conservatives, we are humans too, and are subjected to the same dirty propaganda and censoring tactics that we bemoan from the left. At the end of the day, it's not about playing sides, but fearlessly telling the truth no matter what. Do not hide from the truth, and when and where you see corruption, call it out. We are not just in a political war, but a spiritual one. The three Abrahamic religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, battling it out on the world stage. Things get juicier with this allegation here. An email leak of a town hall meeting taken place at the Daily Wire led by Boring and Andrew Klavan. According to this report, 4 employees at the Daily Wire said the meeting attempted to brainwash employees to believe Candace was anti-Semitic, an extreme form of damage control to scare and prevent employees from speaking out against Owen's firing. They said, quote, "The feeling was that they didn't just want her gone, they wanted everyone to hate her like Ben does, and that it was straight up propaganda." Allegedly, there are employees planning a lawsuit against the Daily Wire, feeling intimidated and threatened by the meeting, and also because of what they believe as an attack on Christianity at the company. It was said that the phrase "Christ is King" was seriously deemed as anti-Semitic by Klavan, Shapiro, and Boring, and it was Candace's repeated use of the phrase, along with her not being overtly pro-Israel, that ultimately led to her firing. As a Jew myself, I empathize with the likes of Shapiro and many other Jews who are frankly a bit unhinged over what happened on October 7th. There's a 6,000-year traumatic history that is told and retold in our homes, our synagogues, and schools. It's been hammered into us since birth. There's a difference between unconscious prejudice and racism, unconscious bias and anti-Semitism. Have some of the things that Candace said kind of cringe from a Jewish perspective? Yeah, I would say so, but I think that she is making an earnest effort to learn and understand what is going on. As the world gets smaller and more connected, we need to treat people who are culturally different from us with grace and respect. I am pro-Israel and anti-war. Anti-Israeli government. After seeing the way that they broke the Nuremberg codes and force-vaxxed and boosted so many of their people, I mean, shame on us Jews for letting that happen. Israel should have spearheaded medical freedom. Instead, they doubled down. I don't trust this government at all, but I do believe in the existence of a Jewish state. So what did Shapiro say on the Rubin report that got Candace mad? Let's take a listen.
As I saw you this week on Piers Morgan, he asked you repeatedly about Candace. You repeatedly basically said,
I won't talk about
that.
Don't
want to talk
I'll say that here too.
Yeah, and that's fine. And, you know, it's interesting because we all sort of came up together to different extents, and we've all done a million things together in public events and networks and all of those things. It seems to me that at this moment, she's now a free agent. She happened to end up on Locals, which I created, and they were a platform, not a publisher that you guys are. Can you at least talk to just sort of where it's at now? She's not with you. She's free.
She's free to do whatever she wants to do, to be wherever she wants to be. And the difference between a publisher like the Daily Wire and a platform like Locals is obviously that a platform should have a very broad range of speech that it allows, including speech that maybe even the creators don't believe is inside what they would consider to be the Overton window. That's a very different thing than direct subsidization of particular opinions. So the Daily Wire would not have a host, would not pay a host who was staunchly pro-abortion. Mm-hmm. They would have no obligation to pay a host who is staunchly pro-abortion.
Now that's interesting because Andrew Klavan uses the same abortion example here.
I can come in here and express any opinion I want. No one will ever tell me, don't say this, don't say that, or say this or say that. It just doesn't happen. But if I woke up one morning and I thought to myself, you know what? I've been saying abortion is bad, but really it's great. It is great. There's nothing I like better than sucking the brains out of children. In fact, we shouldn't just, do it while they're in the womb. We should just do it all wait till they're 1 or 2 when it's more fun because you can hear them screaming. If that suddenly became my opinion, I couldn't bring it in here because the Daily Wire is not a phone company where anybody can talk. It's not a social media company that I think should let everybody express an opinion. It's essentially an online magazine. It is a journal that stands for something. And one of the things that it doesn't stand for is abortion. And I don't think anyone should come in here. I would quit. I would have to leave. I would have to go in and say, guys, I've seen the light. Killing kids is great, and I can't do that anymore. So I would have to come in and say, as an honorable person, that I'm going to remove this. That's something that we can't abide at the Daily Wire because it's not what we stand for. And the same is true of race hatred.
Can his race analogy hint to Candace being an anti-Semite? Here, he goes on to talk about Candace outright.
So Candace stood by her friend Kanye West when he started spouting crazy stuff about going DEFCON on the Jews. Fine. She has a mentally ill friend. She stood by him, fine. It was a little uncomfortable, but still, so what? She attacked this guy, Rabbi Shmuley. I will tell you, with all honesty, I don't even know who Rabbi Shmuley is. I have no idea. I didn't look him up. I haven't seen anything from him. She's complaining about him. Fine. You don't like a rabbi? You're allowed not to like. You're allowed not to like Ben. You're allowed not to like anybody you don't like, if you can spell it out for me what the problem is. But when you start saying things like some of those books Hitler burned weren't so bad. I was shocked. This is something Candace actually said. I was surprised to learn that the books Hitler was burning or the Nazis were burning, they weren't good books. They were bad books. They were socialist books. So they burned. That's true.
Candace once again took to X to say, my former colleague at the Daily Wire, Andrew Klavan, has been spreading some inaccuracies about me that I view to be disparaging to my character. So let's slowly unpack his claims here publicly. As clearly stated by Shapiro and Klavan, there is an Overton window at the Daily Wire, meaning that there are things you are allowed and not allowed to say. But when does curation step into the realm of censorship? Let's hear what Jeremy Boring had to say when he was probed on Twitter Spaces.
You've got a really amazing opportunity to hire a conservative commentator. 20 years of experience, never set a foot out of line, just really strong conservative economic values, strong social conservative values, fits in right with what the audience of the Daily Wire is looking for. But that person starts making criticisms that are similar to what Candace Owens has been making in the past 3 months or so. And everything else about their record is just perfect. Would you consider hiring that person? Like, would that person have a slot at the Daily Wire or no?
Are you trying to ask me why I fired Candace Owens?
No, I'm asking you if you would hire someone with a beautiful, spotless track record of 20 years of amazing conservative values, but they made the same criticisms that Candace Owens has made in the past couple of months. Would that person have a job at the Daily Wire?
Was Candace Owens a conservative for 20 years?
I'm not saying that. I'm giving a
hypothetical.
No,
Candace was not conservative for 20 years. So no, this is not a Candace Owens.
And this is the next Jordan Peterson, going to sell millions of books, going to make you guys millions of dollars, getting millions of views on every video they post. But they've made the same criticisms Candace has made in the last 6 months. Does that person have a job?
Yeah, I'm not. Even this is too close to the Candace thing for me to speak to, because I feel like there are implications of this that I'm not willing to engage in. But if your question is, would I hire... would I hire Bill Whittle if Bill Whittle suddenly said that there's a genocide going on in Gaza? No, I don't think that that's a person that I would hire.
He effectively confirmed that he would not hire someone that crossed his threshold of acceptable criticism of Israel, and couldn't, off the top of his head, name one conservative influencer critical of Israel that he didn't consider anti-Semitic. Is this not in direct opposition of what he said on X, where he basically said that Candace is allowed to say whatever she wants? So what is being said in all the not talking about it talk? In Candace Owens' closing statement at the Daily Wire, she states that she doesn't fear losing her job. She plans to do reporting from Israel, and she's emphatically playing for Team God.
In a few weeks, I will be out to Israel and I will be out to Gaza, and I will be able to report to you guys what it is that I actually see. But I also want to say this because it's so important. I am Team God. Okay? I'm Team God. I do not fear the media. I do not fear journalists. I do not fear AIPAC. I don't fear Big Pharma What I actually fear is God. I think that one day we are all going to have to account for the things that we have done and the things that we have said. And I want to make sure that I am not a person that is parroting lies. The fear of losing your job, encouraging some people to spit out lies, I don't think that works in the end, right? I think you got to check your priorities. And so with that said, I want to thank everybody who has been on this journey with me, people that have supported me. I especially want to thank all of the Jewish people that have been in the comments saying how outraged they are. And I know that it is especially difficult for you guys right now because you are being smeared, you know? I mean, I'm not going to go away. I'm going to use my God-given voice to talk about the things that are important for me. And I'm just asking to be left alone, or at least just report the truth.
I know there's a lot of drama happening here, but I really wanted to make this video because whether publicly or privately, these conversations are being had, are going to be had, and I think we should all push towards a place where there's more understanding and harmony amongst us all, regardless of politics and religion. I don't want to attack either side because I think a more united front is the way to go. As I said in my previous video about Candace, I would like to see them in a room together and hash it out. That's the grown-up thing to do. That's what all pundits at the Daily Wire preach. Put your money where your mouth is. There are more important things than money and contracts. If the Daily Wire really is against cancel culture, if they oppose propaganda, if they are for free speech, you owe it to Candace and the viewers to be transparent. That's all I have for you today. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to Inverted World, and I will see you on the next one.